Every year, we lose hundreds of billions of dollars because of international tax abuse. So it's fair to say the global system is broken. So what's going on? Is there a dark conspiracy going on where shadowy forces meet in a dingy bunker underneath a mountain to arrange all this? Well, no. When the world's power brokers, meaning the rich countries, get together to make rules for international taxation, they meet in a much more elegant location. Welcome to the truly splendid Chateau Mouette in the heart of Gay Paris, home to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. For the past decade or so, the OECD has taken on the role of setting rules and standards on international taxation. So, what is the OECD? That's a very good question. Officially, it's an intergovernmental think tank that designs policies and principles around important economic issues. It's also known as the Rich Countries Club because its membership is limited to 37 of the world's wealthiest nations. Interesting. The OECD has an initiative on international tax rules called the Base Erosion and Profit Shifting Project. That's nerd talk for multinational companies not paying their taxes where they should. It all started back in 2013, but it shouldn't come as a big surprise that a lot of people started asking, hold on, why are a few dozen of the richest countries making the rules and standards for the whole world? What's more, OECD countries are responsible for the majority of tax abuse suffered around the world. You know what they say, if you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. By 2015, the OECD were being made to feel a teeny bit awkward about the fact that they hadn't even asked the poorer countries what they thought. So they set up this thing called the Inclusive Framework to let them have a say. The poorer countries then made some pretty good suggestions, which would have helped them keep a lot of the tax revenue they lose every year to international tax abuse. But the rich countries didn't seem to like their ideas very much. Of course, that had nothing to do with the fact that most of the companies causing the problems in poorer countries are shifting their profits into the richer countries. So they decided to ignore the poorer countries' ideas and push ahead with a different plan which the United States and France thought up between them. Seems like they forgot about the inclusive part of the inclusive framework. Tax Justice Network did some number crunching on their plan and figured out it would do pretty much nothing to help the poorer countries who are getting ripped off right, left, and center. After the frustration and disappointment with the OECD, more and more of us are demanding that the rules on international taxation should be decided through the United Nations. A special UN panel set up to look into the problems of financial secrecy and international tax abuse made the same proposal earlier this year. If we had a UN tax convention that protects nations' rights to tax global companies fairly, and an oversight body to make sure different countries are all sticking to the agreement, that could really change things. And given that so much of human history is a story of rich countries robbing poor countries, it seems pretty obvious that all nations should have an equal voice when it comes to collecting tax in their own economies. It's time for the Rich Countries Club to step aside and let the rest of the world take the lead. And don't worry, OECD, like Humphrey Bogart said,
We'll always have Paris.